Good day, good day. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Jay, and this is Homeschool Yo Kids Podcast. Before we get started, make sure you check out our Homeschool Yo Kids Expo schedule for 2025. We will be visiting 14 states this year, and we couldn't be more excited. Whoop, whoop. So visit our website, homeschoolyourkidsexpo.com, and we would like to give a special shout out to Classical Conversations, one of our major sponsors this year, and we appreciate them so much. So check out some of their curriculum, check out their website, classicalconversations.com. And yeah, let's do it. Good day, Miss Amanda. Introduce
Amazing.
yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amanda Schankenberger, and I'm a former homeschooled kid turned homeschool mom. I've got 4 boys, and I like to help homeschool moms calm the chaos and confidently homeschool so that we can blend rigorous academics with that joyful connected learning.
Nice. Calm the chaos. That is so necessary. And then you're a second generation homeschooler. That is so amazing. Oh, we have plenty to talk about. Let's talk about it. So, how was your homeschool journey? Let's start there. How was it when you were homeschooled?
Well, I remember introducing myself as a kid a lot, and people were like, "Oh, where'd you go to school?" And I'm like, "I'm homeschooled." And they go, "But you're not weird." And I was like, thank you. Like, what do you say to that as a kid?
Really?
So I
Right?
got a lot of that stigma, right? It's still around, but not quite as prevalent anymore. And I honestly had such a great childhood growing up homeschooled. I actually
Mhm.
was an international athlete and I did a sport called vaulting, not the pole vaulting, but equestrian vaulting. So that's gymnastics on horseback. I got to be sponsored and I went to Europe on a team. Like, I had a great childhood. It was all outside, like with my horses, with my dogs. And I remember learning to read. I remember crying over multiplication. I still do. Math and I aren't friends. Um,
I'm with you on
and
that. Calculator me, please.
yes, please. Um, and and it was wonderful. It was much more along the lines of unschooling. But then I
Okay.
later on I had to go to public high school because my family got divorced, and so I have some thoughts about unschooling and how my experience did or did not prepare me for being an adult. And so overall, though, it was glorious time outside
Nice.
with horses, so much free time to play. It was amazing.
Beautiful. Are you an only child?
I was only child until I was 9. So it
Oh,
was,
okay.
I mean, that's a significant portion of, I think, childhood. And so, and then
Indeed.
shortly after my brother was born, my parents did divorce, and my brother went to live with my dad, and I went to live with my mom. So I kind of
Oh,
felt like an only child for most of my life. So technically, no, I was not an only child, but it felt like that.
how was that transition to going to high school?
Oh man. Yeah, I was shaking in my Skechers, Jay. Oh my gosh.
Not the Skechers.
You have Skechers? Oh man, I had to get like the Sketch. It was the shoe, you know? It was like Air Jordan. It was the shoe. Um,
It was.
so yeah, it was so again, I had great childhood, homeschooling. And then when my parents got divorced, there was a few years where we're like, what are we gonna do with Amanda? There wasn't a lot of instruction. And so finally it was like, well, I guess she has to go to school. Like, my mom was a single mom working all the time, our lifestyle had changed. And so I remember that first day of going to public high school. I'd never been in a classroom, and
It was ninth grade.
it was ninth grade. Yes. I started my freshman year, and I started, um, I just, I was so, so nervous. And the nervousness, I had been around people before. Like, I had traveled, there was so much life I had already experienced. But I was truly worried that I didn't have enough knowledge to succeed academically in this environment. And I thought, man, these kids
Mm.
have been doing this their whole lives, and I've been outside playing. And so again, so nervous I was going to fail. And then the first time the teacher posted, like, grades, quarterly grades, in all my classes, I was near the top of all my classes. And I thought,
Mm.
oh my gosh, I've been playing outside like my whole life, and these kids have been stuck to a desk, and I'm doing better than them. I think I know a better way to learn. And that was when
Right.
I told myself, when I have kids, I'm homeschooling them because I know a better way.
Mm. Nice. Okay. And so here we are, homeschooling. How many do you have?
I have 4 boys.
4 boys. Oh my gosh. That's fun.
It's fun. Lots of energy. Lots of energy.
Plenty. Plenty.
Yeah, they're between ages of 5 and 12 right now, and so we're getting
Oh,
ready to head into
nice.
the teen years. Um, and my 5-year-old's still very sweet on me, and my oldest, like, last night I was doing a Facebook, like, selling something on Facebook, and he was, like, poking his head out, and the guy was like, "I think somebody needs you." He's like, "No, he's checking on me, making sure I'm protected." He was like, "Oh,
Nice.
okay."
So what do you all's day look like?
Yeah, that's a good question because I work, 20, 30 hours a week, and I get up
Mm.
early to work, but I've always kind of been an early bird, so that works well for me. So the boys start their day with dad, and they do read aloud, and he likes to talk politics with them and critical thinking. And so that's how they spend their mornings. It's really connected, and it could be considered school, but also not really school.
Mm.
Um, and then I come out around 10 from my office, and that's when we actually start the book work. And that, we'll do math and language arts, science, and then sometimes we'll be doing social studies together. Sometimes it's separate. Sometimes it's go outside. But we usually only spend a total of 2, possibly 3 hours between all the kids doing book work. So I mean, obviously the 5-year-old's like 20 minutes, but between everybody, it's about 2 or 3 hours of school, and then the rest of the day is relaxing, is play, is walks, and we're like hardcore at jujitsu. So then we go to jujitsu later in the day. So that's like our flow.
Okay. And that works for everyone. So it's like everybody gets the piece of mom, everybody gets to share dad, and then y'all go off and do extracurriculars.
Yep.
Are you a part of any co-ops?
So we infrequently attend a co-op. A very good friend of mine runs it. I'm so bad. I'm like, hey, we're gonna come. Wait, no, we're not gonna come. I'm definitely inconsistent co-opper, and it's place-based learning, and so it's very like nature-based, and we live in the beautiful Pacific Northwest, so we're always driving places to go explore. So we're a part of that kind of co-op where it's like, well, we might show up, we might not. It's not very rigorous, but
Set in stone or anything? That's good. So what kind of chaos have you had? Because I feel like there had to have been a chaos for you to feel the need to help parents through the chaos.
yeah. So one of the things I would start with, like chaos in homeschooling, even though I had this wonderful experience as a child, and I was like, this is the way to go, this is how we should learn. I had been institutionalized through the public school system. And I tried to replicate that at home with
Mhm.
my own kids, even though like I knew that's not what
Uh,
I wanted, but I didn't trust myself. So I got the school at
mm,
home kind of curriculum, tried to do that with my oldest, and he learned to read that way. But it did not work for us. It did not work for me. And so I started out like most homeschool parents do in that way. And then very quickly remembered this is not what you did as a kid. Why would you do this with your own children? Oh, yeah, that's right. So then I switched into something that just it's more relaxed, worked well for us, but still very much prioritizes the things that I know, having been a homeschool kid that had a very flexible schedule, and what I wish my parents would have done more of when I was a homeschool kid. So I am always focusing on language arts, always focusing on math, because those are the two things that were really hard won skills for me coming from my background. And like now I write constantly. I'm in the middle of writing a book, and that would have been a great skill for me to have as a young person. So we focus on those things. So in the homeschool, there was that kind of chaos, trying to figure that out. And it took several years. And I had my own experience. So I can't even imagine for parents who did public school their whole lives, how difficult and challenging
Yes.
it can be. But then there is this internal chaos that we deal with, that nobody sees, nobody quite understands. And while you're a homeschool mom, just like I'm a homeschool mom, I might not quite understand that internal chaos fully for you ever, because you're a unique individual with your unique experiences. And where I really love to come in and help moms is sorting through that internal chaos. And it shows up a lot of ways on the outside. We might be very like unstructured in our day and have no idea what we're doing. We might have relational chaos with our kids, or we might have so much self-doubt going on we can't even look at anything objectively because we see it as a reflection of our value. So where I love to help moms is calming that inner chaos so that we can show up as the mom that we want to be and deliver the best education and homeschooling experience for our kids. So that's where I really love to go deep with moms.
Yes, yes, very much needed. What do you find as like a common, like something that you hear a lot from parents as far as with their homeschooling journey? What do you hear a lot? Because I know you spoke on the self-doubt and the internal conflict as far as like probably needing to de-school and things of that nature because you're not trying to implement that at home, but it's just so much of a program that is like, oh no, this is the way I know. So what do you find is a common, like something you hear often from parents?
Yeah, I hear moms worried that they are ruining their experience, like their child's experience and education, because it's kind of twofold, right? So it's I don't trust myself to be an educator because I'm going outside the lines of what was established for me, but there's this deep yearning of I know what I had wasn't what I want to give my kids, but
Right.
we haven't established confidence in what you actually want to create for your kids yet. So there's a lot of I'm worried that I'm ruining my kids' education because I don't know what this is supposed to look like. And then there's that I'm ruining our relationship, because what happens when we begin to doubt ourselves, and our foundation starts shaking, we start doubting everything. And then we see it as a reflection of our value as a mom or a person. And then well, we got to get the checklist done, and just get the school done so we can move on with our day. And it either mom, gets big and loud, or mom checks out and is like, whatever, guys, you know. You have no idea what that's like, Jay, can tell.
I know everything about that. Okay, do you? Like my daughter argues with me every morning. Do I have to do my affirmation? Yes, you do. Like, no, well, I wish we can go back to when we didn't do anything and we just learned through our experiences. And it's like, Kenny, I really require you to do like, please relax and leave me alone. Like, go do those affirmations, please, and thank you. But that's every morning. She's gonna come out this morning and say the same thing. Do I have to do that? Can I start with this and say, yeah, you could start wherever you want to. However, before the day's over, you're gonna do those affirmations. Yeah. But yeah, I am okay, girl. Go ahead. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I see a lot in moms. And so sometimes there's great times to say, okay, yeah, go ahead, do your own thing. But when it becomes this out. Like, I'm piecing out. I'm going to go do my own thing. You guys, like, it's chaos. You're on your own, kind of hands off because we're overwhelmed. And the thing I hear from
Yeah.
moms the most is, I'm overwhelmed. And it's a battle
Mm.
they don't know how to win because, number one, I mean, learning to homeschool, that's a really, like, it's an exponential learning curve. I'm like, it kind of does like a loop-de-loop, like a roller coaster, and it never stops.
Yeah, because it's lifestyle based too, though. It's like it's not just you, just teaching your kids. It's everything. Like your schedule is all different. You're outside with kids at different times. People in the grocery store looking at you like, it's 11 a.m. Why your kids ain't in school? You're everywhere and doing things. And so it's like it's a lifestyle change, not just an academic or educational change for your children.
Yeah, totally, totally. And learning how to walk that lifestyle change well, it can feel very overwhelming because, again, we're like, where are the guardrails? What is this supposed to look like? And then, coming to people who have been doing this for a while, we're like, well, it's kind of like, well, how do we do family? There's some ideas I could give you, but you want to figure this out for your family. I know you do. And when we find that, like, deep seated desire in you of what you actually want to create, we can move forward and it can become this beautiful life-giving tree for everybody in the family. And these experiences that we want to have and the education we want them to have and our relationship that we want to have, we can cultivate that. But until we figure out, like, what it is you actually really truly want to create, then it's going to be like plates of spaghetti at the wall just to see what.
Right. Well, okay. So let me ask you this because you had already predetermined that you were going to homeschool before you had kids.
Yeah.
Was your husband on board with that?
So when I met my husband, okay, I had already decided this, and I met him in high school. We actually got married the day after
Oh,
I graduated high school.
what?
I was like,
Oh my
I'm out of
gosh.
here, guys. um, so that was one of my stipulations with my husband. I was like, okay, listen, like, because I'm a Christian, and like, you have to believe in Jesus and you have to be on board with me homeschooling the kids. If those are a no for you, then this is not going to work. And he's like, yeah,
Mm.
those are great. So that was like dating, like, 101 for me. If this isn't cool with you, then we're not going together. So that was easy
Nice.
for us to navigate because we always had agreed that that's what we were going to do.
All right. So going outside of the husband to his parents, because your parents are with it because they homeschooled you. How was his parents' reception to it?
Well, what I will say is I wouldn't have cared if they didn't like it. I'd be like,
I like that answer. I like that.
they're my kids. I know they're your grandkids, but they're my kids. So I get to choose this. However, my husband's mom was so involved. They were always in like a small little private school. She was either, a teacher or a librarian, or she was always very involved. And, thinking back, I was like, why wasn't she a homeschool mom? She would have been a great homeschool mom.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
so they were very on board with it. And that they also knew me, and I wouldn't have cared if they were like, well, we don't think this is a good idea. So
Nice. No, because that's a lot of like that's what a lot of parents receive, like homeschool families, because they're first generation, like and so even their parents or the spouse's parent or even the spouse is not on board with the homeschooling process. And so I hear that, and I was just in a group the other day, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm still trying to talk my husband into it," and it's like, "Oh man," it's like it's sad when it's like how heavy it is in your heart and how much you want to move forward with it, but you have these opposing forces, and so that's something that parents have to work through.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that is hard. But I mean, like, that's why I think, okay, again, grandparents, like, sure, they're welcome to voice their opinion, but they're not the
They
parents.
don't matter. Yeah,
If you
exactly.
want if you want kids again, then please have more children, but you can't have mine. Um, I'm a little spicy. Um, but when it comes to the spouse, really understanding what the spouse's objections are, because very
Mm.
often they don't really know why they're objecting. Maybe they met one of those weird homeschool kids because they were out there. Um, Maybe, they're like, well, you're not a teacher and you don't have what it takes to educate your children. And then, going, well, this curriculum was developed by teachers and this is what's going to help me. And here are the statistics for homeschool kids. And really communicating to your spouse, or it can even be baby daddy, right? This is what's like, here's the evidence of why homeschooling works. Here's my plan. What other objections do you have? And helping them walk through it, because so often, I mean, for a dad who really cares about his kid, he wants what's best for his kid. He just needs to see that homeschooling is what's best for his kid.
Indeed, indeed. Yes, I like that. Presenting a logical and sound argument and plan.
Mm-hmm.
Like a plan, like this is how I'm going to go about doing this, like, and then there should be a trial and error, like let me do it. Let me do it. And if you feel like after a year or two that it's not working, or you see digression, like they're going backwards or something, then let's talk. We'll
Mm-hmm.
talk and reevaluate. But yeah, at least gotta let me try.
Yeah,
So yes. Oh, I like
absolutely.
that. I like that. Yes. Okay. So with your system or program, you're more of coach, like you're coaching people.
Yeah. Yeah. So I coach moms,
Okay.
primarily. I've worked with dads, but all like my group programs are moms only. So I'll work with dads on an individual basis, but anything that's like a
Oh,
cohort with moms, like right now, I just started up something called 60 Days to Consistency, and I've run this cohort several times. And we're really focusing on creating a structure for our day, having that flow. And I have a whole system to teach that. And then we're talking about our SMART goal, and we're actually tracking it, checking in, and we get prizes for the person who is got the highest amount of points. And so really kind of gamifying it for us. And it's very systematic approach, but it's not it's not heartless, because it's all based on that deep desire that we want to create for homeschooling. For some of us, it's connection. For some of us, it's peace.
mm,
For some of us, it's freedom, right? There are words that resonate with our heart that when we get into alignment with them, then we begin to make different choices. And that's what I help homeschool moms find. What is that deep seed in you,
mm,
that like that thing you want to create? Because you're a creator. You created these kids. You're a creator. And so what do we want to create for this homeschool journey? And helping them find that, and then being practical, like, okay, how do we actually create that? What does that look like for you? Because it's not what it looks like for me. So yeah, so
mm.
that's one of the main things I do in all my programs, is really help moms hone in on that and then put systems in place. Because I think for a lot of the moms I work with, because sometimes I'm even working with ADHD moms, I'm also an executive function coach. And so there's like, we're struggling with task initiation, or maybe our kid has ADHD, because there's so many neurodivergencies in the homeschooling community. So giving them the tools and resources they need to succeed in the way their brain works, mom, not the kid, but mom, so that
Mm.
she can support her homeschooling in the way that works best for their family.
Yes, yes, yes. How much emphasis do you put on self-care?
Yes. So I usually baby step moms into this, because they're typically just like I was. I was like the bottom of the total pole, right? Like,
Mm,
list of priorities. I'm not drinking enough water, not getting enough sleep, not eating the right foods, right? I'm survival mode all the way. And I did that for so many years, dealt with high anxiety, low self esteem, all these things that, while I was dealing with that internal chaos, I just had so much negative thoughts toward myself. And like, okay, so I didn't prioritize myself, because I thought I was like not valuable enough, not worthy of being taken care of.
mm.
And nobody's telling me that. It's just how I think about myself. So typically, the moms that come to me, they're pretty low on the totem pole. So we start with basics, like, okay, hey, how many hours a night are you sleeping? Uh, Maybe 5. Okay, are you still nursing a baby that's waking you up? Yeah. you know? So helping them step into healthy choices, because if they want to give their best to their family, they need to be their best. And that's what
Yes.
self-care is about. If I want my homeschool experience for my whole family to be amazing, then I need to be amazing. And that gets down to
Yeah.
my health physically, mentally, sometimes spiritually. I got to take care of me so that I can take care of everybody. And I like to use this illustration. If your kids had to go across the bridge, let's say like the Golden Gate Bridge, right? And you could see the Golden Gate Bridge was deteriorating, and it didn't, like, pieces were falling into the ocean. And you're like, no, I'm not going to send my kids across that bridge. I don't think they'll make it to the other side. They're going to die. Well, if you're that bridge,
Mm.
let's get that bridge some TLC. It needs some
Yes.
maintenance, and before we can really help our kids cross over to the other side. And so it's less about, like, do I deserve this? We work on those kind of thoughts, but it's, if I want to give my best to my family, I need to be my best. And that's,
Yeah.
sleep, food, water, exercise. How do we begin baby stepping into these things and taking better care of ourselves? So yes, 100%, we get to do that as moms.
Yes. How do you self-care?
Yeah. So recently, I started taking like detox baths every day. And so, like, and then I started last year there, I started taking like specific supplements because I could tell my hormones were way off. And we won't go too deep into the TMI of how I knew my hormones were off. But I also was getting like this
Mm.
cystic acne down here that was so painful.
Mm.
And like I've got major scarring down here because of the huge zits that I would get down here. And so I was like, that I told a friend who's an esthetician, and she's like, that's not normal, honey. And I was like, oh, it's not, you know? So I started to, we don't know until we ask, right?
Right,
Uh,
exactly.
Everybody doesn't have painful zits down here that I can't see.
I gotta
Um,
say, especially when it's so normal in your world, like if it's something like you've become so accustomed to, like it's not normal, like it's been this way for a long time.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, I actually take like beef liver supplements,
Mm.
making sure I take apple cider vinegar in the morning because my whole life my gut's been off. And so like I get to support my gut health and take probiotics and take a detox bath every day, not just because it's relaxing, but because it's helping my body get healthier. And so I recently also started CrossFit. Yay me!
Nice.
So, those are the things that I actively do to take care of myself. And then if I need a day to sleep in, that's okay. Like, it's okay to sleep in because normal people need 8 hours of sleep, and I that gets to be okay for me. So those are just a few of the things that I'm doing.
Nice. And with your work schedule, because you are homeschooling and working, do you have a certain time where you shut down everything, or like do you go into the, burn the midnight oil as people say, or do you how does that work for you? How do you balance both rather?
Yeah. So for me, in the mornings is my work time. I've always been an early bird. I blame it on working at Starbucks for years. Like come to your shift at 4:30 in the morning.
Oh
So
my gosh.
yeah. So I'm used to getting up early. Um, so I get up probably an hour and a half before my kids get up. I get myself ready for the day. And then I usually sit down, I do some quiet time, and then I start work. Usually between 5:30 and 6. And then my husband is in charge of the morning. So,
Mm.
our kids, they make breakfast and then they get, themselves ready in the morning, and then he goes out there and he does his thing until about 10. And he works for himself, so he schedules his own hours. So then he leaves and I come out and start the book work.
Mm.
So typically I like to end work then, but then I have clients, hop on emails, text messages, try to be in good communication with them. And after 3 p.m., there's work does not happen for me. That's where I got to shift gears, make sure dinner's prepped because we're going to jujitsu, and then we're going to come home, eat, have some family time, and go to bed.
Nice. Is jujitsu the only extracurricular, or do y'all have other like sports or anything else where they go and mix and mingle with other kids?
Yeah, so we have that infrequent co-op we attend.
Oh yeah. Yes.
But we're also avid churchgoers. So kids
Nice.
every Sunday have friends, and then we usually have at least a play date a week with a different friend. And so, with homeschoolers, the cool thing is sometimes the kids, my oldest being 12, it can be challenging to find other homeschoolers that are a little bit older. Thankfully, we have some, but sometimes they're just little, and my oldest gets to learn how to like play with them, kind of take care of them. Or, if I can tell he's having an off day, why don't you go off and draw a comic and, everything will be fine.
Nice.
So yeah, we definitely have play dates. But jujitsu is kind of our thing. There's no extra sports. And I do my CrossFit while the boys do the jujitsu. So done at the same time. I like to be efficient in that way.
Nice. Has your 12-year-old, has he made mention of public school or anything of that nature, wanting to experience that?
No, not at all. He knows. Like, obviously I've had both experiences. And,
Mhm.
like, well, do you want to sit at a desk, for the whole day and then come home with homework instead of doing the way we're doing school? Like, he's taking last year he took a high school biology class. He's taking a college prep physics class. This
Oh,
next year
wow.
he's going to take a college science class. He's ahead in math. Like, why? Like, he would be so bored. It's
Yes.
not worth seeing friends all the time to change the lifestyle he's lived in. And so you could probably call it brainwashing, but look at those poor kids coming home on the bus. They got on that bus at 7 a.m. when you were still in your bed. And here it is 4:30. How much time were they away?
Oh my God. No, but that's true though. And that's like, I feel like my 11-year-old has grown out of it because about 2 years ago, she used to be like, oh, I want to go to high school so I can have a crew and I could be the leader and, television stuff. And it's like, I don't know if that's going to be all the experience, but my 8-year-old's like, school starts too early. I'm not getting up that early. Like she's totally, no, I'm not going in there for all that day. She went to a summer camp one year, and that was enough for her to know that she's not about that life at all. She's like, no, I like to be free. I like to, plan my day. I like to do, because when I tell you my kids are free, they are free, like, and they know it. So yeah, they're like, oh no, 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 thank you.
No, they have no desire to go to public school. But
Yeah.
also, again, I definitely have seeded that. Oh, you don't want to be away from mommy, do you? No, I don't. That's right, you don't.
Right. And I think I also helped too because I told my 11-year, I told her how we can, she wants a prom. We can host a prom. We can host that. Like, oh,
Mhm.
like mommy's all about events, honey. Like, what you want to do? We could do that. Like, you
Yeah,
want a
that's
homecoming?
awesome.
Like, you want that? Let me know. Like, you ain't got to go nowhere for none of that. I promise you, we got it and
Yep,
we can get it.
I
But
love that.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
so good.
you touched on a little bit about what your 12-year-old is learning. What kind of curriculum are you using?
Yeah, so for my oldest, he we kind of let him pick the direction. He loves learning. He loves books. He loves science. He's like, Mom, I'm a nerd,
And
and
that helps with him being the oldest too. Like that just sets the tone. Oh, I love that. Go ahead.
yeah, it really does, because even my littlest, like, he looks around, his brothers are looking at books, you know, and so he's like, oh, I should go grab a book, just like that social influence. So yes, it
Yes.
does help. Um,
Yes.
so we were talking about like what science he would want to do next, and he just finished up that that high school biology class, and he loves biology. I said, well, but if, you want to go deep into the sciences, we should really expand because he's done a lot with biology. And so we, it's your college, I think it's collegeprepscience.com. We went on and see what he was offering. His name's Greg Landry. And I just listed them off, and he was like, I think I'd like to do physical science. So we went that way. He's doing teaching textbooks for math, and he really loves it. The lessons are super short. Let's see, what's he doing? Oh, so I did, the Tuttle Twins has an academy, and it recently started, and I wrote their entrepreneurial course.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, oh my gosh, it was so fun. And it just came out last week. And so we have like a free pass for the academy since I'm one of the teachers. And he's been going through that for social studies, and he's absolutely loved that. And then let's see, what else does he do? I think that's about what he does.
Nice. No, that's cool. And the younger ones?
Younger ones, we have, I use Good and Beautiful because it's open and go, right? Read this to the child. I don't have to think. I don't have to prep. I just open it. So we'll do that, a lesson a day we do school 4 days a week. And then everything else, science. What do you want to learn about? Like, let's go to the library. We just got done doing like the carnation thing where you have one in a cup, and then like you split the stem of another one with food coloring, so you could see like the phylum tubes. Do they mix? Are they straight? So we're doing a lot of hands-on stuff that's really enjoyable for everybody. But most of what my kids do is play. We're big Magna Tile Lego people. So lots of building, and then they create storylines before that. And then the other thing is lots and lots of reading. And so my 10-year-old, he's reading the Lord of the Rings series right now. My oldest gets really into adult nonfiction. I actually had him read The Anxious Generation by John Haidt. And he decided after reading that, he's like, Mom, I don't want a phone until I'm 16. And I was like,
I need that. I'm gonna do that. The anxious generation. Yeah, I'm writing that down right now, huh?
Yeah, it's got this bright yellow cover. I will say, some of the topics he covers are, you might feel like they're inappropriate, age-wise, because they're talking about different kinds of, things that happened on the internet. So maybe pre-read.
Okay.
I did not. My son was coming to me with questions, and I was like, oh. He's like, don't tell me the answer, Mom. I actually don't want to know. I'm just going to skip that part. I'm like, great. We'll circle back when you're ready.
Yes.
But it talks about like why anxiety has gotten so high, and just why we haven't been able to pivot as a generation, because things are happening so quickly and the changes are so rapid. We haven't had time to bounce back. And anyways, he really, really loved it. And yeah, he's like, Mom, I don't want a phone until I'm 16. So I'm like, perfect. I'm on board.
I know, right? Because my 11-year-old asks for that all the time. And that's the age I'm thinking about, 16. Like, I feel like that's when you don't need it. Like, in other times, you're by me all the time. Like, we're together. I told them we share this phone. Like, this is our phone. Okay. But it's mine mostly.
It's
but it's ours.
Super
it's
gray.
Ours,
Very
but
gray.
It's mine. But I would definitely look into that book though, because I need something like to just for her understanding. Like we've already talked, because she has a laptop and everything, and they actually have tablets coming today that they don't know about. But so they have, electronics, but are very mindful of how much time is spent on there, because they're so creative. Oh my gosh. Like they're so, like their imagination is beyond wonders. Like they make a game out of everything. You ask them to do anything, it's going to become a game. I promise you. Like everything. So I love that for them. And I don't want them to lose that and get caught up in, the whole internet world. But I also want them to be well versed in the internet world, because the internet world is what it is. It's there. It's not going anywhere. Technology is a driving force of everything, apparently. And so I don't want them to be left behind in that regard. So I don't keep them from it, but it's just the mindfulness in using it and understanding how expansive of a place it is.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's a tool. It's a tool that I use constantly. So one of the tools that I use a lot is ChatGPT. So I've been teaching my oldest how to use that for his writing. And so it's actually been really helpful for him in growing his writing and getting it, like developing it. So absolutely, yeah. It's a tool.
Yeah.
You got to teach the kids how to navigate it and give them
Yes.
little responsibilities at a time.
Indeed. I'm trying to get them well versed in Canva so they can help me with all of my Canva
Perfect.
needs.
Yes, I've been trying to teach my oldest. I'm like, can I teach you how to build landing pages? Can we please come? It's a great skill for you to have.
Yes. So yeah, mindfulness of it all, but not a shelter from it, because it's just like I want them to be okay, in the future. So that's a thing. But yeah, no, I love that. I'm definitely gonna check out that book though. Definitely gonna check
Yeah.
out.
Oh, it's such a good book. Such a good book. I recommend it for everybody.
Nice. Thank you for that. Thank you. Okay. Well, we have your day covered. We have your curriculum covered. What else should we touch on?
Well, do you want me to suggest another book that,
Oh,
like,
please.
so obviously the anxious generation is for the parents, and if you feel the content is appropriate, for your kids, it's a nonfiction. But one of the books that changed my life, let me see if I usually have it right here handy. But it's called, I'm not actually seeing it, called The Eight Great Smarts by Kathy Cook. Have you heard that one?
No, I have not. I'm writing it down.
Okay. So it's not a homeschool book. There is a homeschool version, but I haven't read that. I read the original one from Kathy, Eight Great Smarts. And in the
Smarts.
book, in the book, she talks about there being these eight different smarts that everybody has. Everybody's smart, but the way you're smart might not be academically measured. Maybe you're music smart, maybe you're body smart, maybe you're people smart, right? And so there's all these different kinds of smarts, and they're valuable and powerful. And here's how you identify which ones are your smarts. And if you have, people smarts, here's how it's valuable, but also here's why it also might cause some character flaws, right? And so the way she describes the smarts in the book was so powerful to me for two reasons. One being, I finally could understand myself a little bit more and be able to explain to somebody, like, oh, I'm self smart. That's why I'm really good at this. Oh, I'm nature smart. That's why I can pick up on patterns so easily. And that's why I'm able to do this and this. But that also means this is why I can't talk things out, because I do it all in my head. So it gave me verbiage to describe myself. But more importantly, I would say for me, it really saved my relationship with my oldest. Back when he was probably 8, I want to say he was 8, I think pretty much between 6 and 8, we were not getting along. We butted heads like crazy. And I didn't understand what he valued. And what I mean is, like, as a self-smart person, I value my opinions like really highly. I've thought them out. I can describe them well to you. It's okay for you to have your own opinions. It's fine if you don't agree with me. I get that. But here's why I believe this, and and I could go on and explain. But he wasn't self-smart. He's logic smart, and logic smart people value accuracy. And it was that accuracy, that emphasis. I'll give you a quick example. He would slap his brother, and I'll just like have heard it, and I'll say something like, "You can't hit your brother," and he's like, "I didn't hit my brother," and I was like, I heard the sound of a slap. He's like, well, I slapped my brother. And I was like,
The verbiage. Oh
the
my.
verbiage wasn't accurate. And accuracy is very important to him. And so we would get into the weeds about, if I'm describing him well or not, and the entire lesson would be lost. And so I like to tell him, hey, bud, it sounds like you're focusing on trying to see the forest through a tree, the forest for a tree, right? You're in the weeds. Let's back up. What am I trying to teach you right now? Is it okay? He doesn't have this issue anymore. But is it okay to intentionally touch your brother in a way that will hurt him? Oh man,
I know the verbiage, like having to find a way.
it was mental gymnastics. It was exhausting. Ah, but landing my communication in a way he understood was so important to me. And when he felt like I saw him clearly and didn't fault him for his value of accuracy, we could finally move forward. And it just caused so much tension because I'm like, here's this pattern because I'm seeing patterns. And he's like, but that's not exactly what happened. And so we're just on entirely different pages. And so what this book did, The 8 Great Smarts, gave me the understanding of his brain and helped me communicate with him in a way that was meaningful to him. And so if you're, not even a homeschooler, this book, maybe you're just an auntie, right? This book is so powerful because it helps you see the world through somebody else's eyes who has a different intelligence than you.
Yes, yes. So understanding that there are smarts in everyone, but it's just okay, what is your niche? Like what's your thing? I like that. I know, I can't say her name right now, but her brain is realizing genius. And it's talking about the genius in all of our children, understanding that they all are born with a level of genius that sometimes is either faded out or never really tapped into, but they're all like, geniuses. And I totally received that, especially with, being in the classroom and coming across all the kids that I have. Like they all had their thing. It's like, okay, well, this may not be your thing, but look at how amazing of an artist you are. Look at those drawings. That's a wow. But when you're in school, it's academic focus. So it's like, oh, if you're not getting A's and B's, then you suck. No.
Right. Well, most people don't say that, but that's the inference.
Very much so. Because I don't like how kids kind of identify themselves as a grade. Like, when you ask them how they're doing or, hey, how's school going? It's like, oh, I'm a B student or I'm a C student. It's like, I didn't ask you that. But
Yep.
but I see where you're identifying. So but that's always been a concern for me. It's like, oh no, baby, you're more than that. Like, what are your interests? What are you into? What are your passions? Can you draw? Do you like to dance? Do you like to act? Like, who are you? And I think a lot of that's kind of lost a lot of times throughout traditional school. So I like that. The 8 smarts. Very important. You have 4 little men.
I do.
How are their learning styles?
That's a good question. So definitely my oldest, he is like a reading writer, like reading, writing, and then auditory. He's so good at just like listening to something or like reading the information. He's really good with that. My second born, he is very much kinesthetic kind of learner. He's body smart. He's also like, he's amazing with numbers. He's actually, so what I would say, I think there's learning styles and then there's processing speed too, right? So my first and my third born are high fast processors. They're just like boop, 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 boop. And my second, he's kinesthetic, and I would also say reading. He's like a reading writer kind of learner, but he's a much slower processor. And when I think about where he's at academically compared to his brother, he's like actually a little bit ahead where when his brother was this age. But you just wouldn't I have a hard time connecting it because he's much slower at learning. So as his mom, that's one thing I really have been mindful of, because I said, hey, buddy, when it's taking him a long time to finish a worksheet or whatever, I'm like, are you smart? He's like, yeah, I'm really smart. I'm like, you just move a little bit slower. And is that okay? Yes, that's okay. I'm just a little bit slower. And that slower, that grounded personality, you're an observer, that's not bad. That's not bad. We need those kind of people in the world, because me and your other two, brothers, number one, number three, like, we're floating up here going way too fast. We need you. So that's really important for me personally to just see and recognize and affirm in him. And then number four, he's 5, right? Everything's kinesthetic. He's very much a lover. He runs around the house. Mommy, I love you. I love you. I love you. Can I kiss you? Can I kiss you? Can I kiss you? And I'm like, I love you too. Can we not kiss 10 times in a row? I love you, buddy.
I know. Like, are we covered? Is this good for today? Can we chill? Yes.
So we're still discovering him, but yeah, everything's kinesthetic right now just because of his age. But yeah,
indeed.
Yeah, man, kids are so different, and it's so cool.
Yes, I know. And that's why I just wanted to, let parents hear that before letting you go. Like, I want them to know, like, understand that when you have kids, no matter how many you have, they're all going to be different. They're all going to have themselves, because they're all individuals. No matter the blood that's flowing, we get it. Like, you think that they're going to be like this one or that one. It's like, no, they're them. So allow them to be them. And that's why I just like, oh, okay, well, let's talk about their learning styles and their smarts and, as on an individual level. So I love that. Where do we find you, Amanda?
Oh, yeah. So you can come find me on Facebook. If you just look up my name, which is really...
That last one is...
I had somebody ask me the other day, he's like, how do you say that? And I was like, well, give it a try. And he went, shuff, 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 shuff. And I was like, yeah,
I would say Schinkenberger.
Very good. Schenkenberger. It's perfect. Think of like a shake and a burger.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
So you can find me on Facebook.
A lot of letters.
That's where I am a lot. I would love to invite anybody to join my free weekly newsletter. Like, it's amazing. It's full of resources, like weekly tips. It's like, I want to read it. Like, I'll get it in my inbox. I'm like, oh, what did I write? I forgot.
I love that. So you have your newsletter, you have your Facebook.
I'm on Instagram. You can find me there too. I just don't post a lot. So I could join me on Facebook or sign up for my newsletter, because that's the best way to stay in touch with me.
How do they sign up for your newsletter?
Oh yeah, I can I can send that link to you, but homeschoolfamilylegacy.com. And at the very top of the bar, it'll say Confident Homeschool Mom Weekly. Just click that and you go to the right spot.
Nice. Yes. And before I let you go, I need 3 things you would tell parents to consider as they transition into their homeschooling world. 3 things that you want them to take away from all that we've talked about.
Yeah. Number 1, I would really encourage you to find like the word that embodies what you want to create for your homeschooling experience. Like I said, for me, that's connection. Everything, I want to bring it back to connection, because that word is very, very powerful. So I would say that, number 1. Number 2, I know this is very practical, but I would also look at your homeschool state laws. Like, these are really important for you to at least know them. Whether or not you choose to follow them, that's your deal, girl. Like, I get you. But it's important that you know them, because there has been so much misinformation and every state is different. And keep an eye on the news, because some things might be shifting. We just had a shift in presidency, and he has very strong opinions about education. So keep your eyes on the news. They could shift quickly. And then third, I would definitely say spend time enjoying each other. right? Spend time enjoying each other, whether, you go down a practical route of deschooling, or you just like cuddle on the couch. Hey, what do you like to do? Let's go do that, right? Connect with your kids and enjoy them. And from that, homeschooling will flow so much better.
Yes, yes, yes. And if you get stuck along the way, reach out to Amanda at Homeschool Legacy. She's going to help you. She's going to
Yeah.
help you get through the chaos. She's going to help you find your flow, and she's going to help you find that goal that it is that you are looking. I think mine is freedom. Like when you talk about that word, that one word, I definitely think mine is freedom, because that's, yeah, that embodies us. um Everything is like freestyling, free learning, free everything. So
I love it. I
yes,
love it.
yes. But yes, parents, always remember that this is not a journey that you have to do alone. There is support there. There are people that are very passionate about wanting to help you along the way, so allow them to. Definitely reach out, and always, always, always homeschool your kids.
Absolutely.